Hello everyone, I'm Captain Shar. I'm mostly a retro gamer. Sometimes I do reaction content, and this is one of those times. We're back with the Fat Files. The worst franchise in America, Subway. You know what? I think I know where this is going, since I remember a while back Subway was, bread was labeled more dessert cake than it was actual bread, due to the amount of sugar in it. Anyways, link to the original down below. Let's hop into it.
You know it's gonna be good when I have to call my lawyer before I post the video.
What?
Today we're talking about Subway. Why? Because I went there for like the first time in 10 years the other day and they asked me for a tip at checkout, which annoyed me. So then I looked into it and then I found out that you can get hepatitis from a sandwich. I'm not exaggerating, that actually happened and it's like the tip of the iceberg. And to be honest with you, this is also the part where my lawyer explicitly told me to insert a disclaimer in this video. So here's Jake the lawyer, AKA the Internet Esquire.
Okay, here's the deal, Subway Group, now wholly owned by affiliates of Rourke Capital and formerly known as Pizza Super Submarine Sandwiches. My client, the Mr. Fat Electrician, is providing in this video true or substantially true information derived from reasonably reliable and publicly available material. There are no known falsehoods made, and any analysis of the material presented is made solely for the purposes of news reporting, protected commentary, or new understandings. In no way is this video or the things said by my client in this video in any medium now known or hereafter devised throughout the universe and in perpetuity in any way a sponsorship or endorsement of Subway Group. And any so-called conclusions drawn by my client as a result of the material are that of opinion, satire, or are otherwise accurate depictions preserved in their full context when not otherwise artistically interpreted for the purposes of valuable public commentary. And notwithstanding the foregoing, we reserve all right, title, and interest in and to the presentation of the materials presented in this audiovisual format, and with God as our witness, pray that no binders be bound against you as a result of this video. I'm Jake the Lawyer, signing off.
All right, in case you can't tell.
Wow. So allegedly their stuff was made out of lots of sugar. But again, cooking is one of those weird things. Like, you can make, like, there's so many different recipes for bread. I've started making bread recently. Like, little side tangent here. Yeah, I've started making bread, homemade bread, because I find the store stuff has so much preservatives in it that it doesn't even go moldy anymore. And it's just like, what the hell is this mystery magic bread that I've been consuming all half my life? No, I like the homemade stuff because it's a lot more lighter, fluffier, and it takes no time to do it, actually. So it's like, sure, I have all this stuff here to do it, so like, why not? It's just literally water, yeast, sugar, and a little bit of salt. That's it. But yeah, I don't know, like, every place does their breads differently, so it's kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, each bakery does their bread differently, each businesses do the bread differently. Like, you will not go to unless they're like a mom and pop shop, you will not go to any like fast food hamburger joint, for example, and they have the exact same buns. Like, McDonald's buns are not the same as Burger King buns, they're not the same as Wendy's buns, etc., etc., you know? Just like every major chain, like, of sub shop, like Mr. Sub, Subway, Quizmos, Firehouse, whatever, all the buns are different. Like, everyone does everything differently, so...
This video is going to be unhinged, so let's just get the ad out of the way now, and then we can watch my blood pressure rise for the next 15 minutes straight. This video is brought to you by Supremacy World War III, a free-to-play online PvP strategy-based game available on mobile and desktop. It is based on a World War III type scenario, which definitely isn't becoming more and more realistic every single day. You can pick your country and go off to war playing with up to 99 other people. Personally, I'm picking the United States because I enjoy winning. But hey, that's me. You can do whatever you want.
As long as I don't end up in the Fallout timeline, I don't care.
Lose your entire navy in like 45 minutes. Again, I mean, seriously, if I had a nickel for every single time that a Republican TV star became the president of the United States and then orcas randomly started wearing dead salmons on top of their heads and then America destroyed Iran's entire navy in like a day, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but that's a really weird coincidence. Also, yes, I called that. They also just released their new officer update where you can unlock elite commanders that give your entire country unique abilities and powers and power-ups. And if you use my code down below, you're going to immediately unlock a free railgun, giving you a huge advantage right out of the gate. So go check that out. Let's get back to the video. All right, story time.
I know he's in a few games, if I recall. Like, he's like a voice in a few war games. I just don't remember which ones off the top of my head. I want to say it was War Thunder he was in, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
I used to go to Subway every single day my junior, senior year of high school, and the entire time I was in college, I pretty much exclusively survived off of Subway and protein shakes.
I don't think we had a Subway here when I was growing up until, like, I was out of high school. Like, I'm trying to think what we had back in the day. We just had the place just called the Sub Shop, and that was it. Basically, or we had, I think, Mr. Sub. We didn't even have Quizmos or Firehouse until like much later on. Yeah, like the city I grew up in was very late to the table to get a lot of things. Like, what the hell was it? Shit, I don't remember what franchise it was, but there was another franchise out there that only came in like after high school. So like, I was still very much living in the 80s throughout most of the 90s, besides the small technological jumps like in video games and computers. That was it. Everything else in this city was basically still running on the past. Like, oh, little tangent. Like when high-speed dial-up internet, high-speed dial-up internet came out, the phone company had to come out and replace all the phone lines, which were still the original phone lines from like fucking like 1890 or whatever. The telegraph lines, mind you, because we still had telegraph poles. But no, all the old cloth wrapped wiring for the phones had to be replaced, so the internet could actually do, well, at the time, internet stuff. And we are still behind, so because we don't even have fiber optic internet yet here. It's still on coax for the most part, or dial-up still. Like, it is wild.
And this is back in the day when that Jared from Subway guy that lost a bunch of weight was still in every other TV commercial and plastered all over billboards all over the country, and footlongs were $5. So when I went into Subway the other day for the first time in like 10 years, I was expecting the price, you know, probably went up a little bit. Inflation, everything going on. It's like probably not $5 anymore. That's fine. I go in, I have my sandwich made, I get to checkout. My sandwich was like $19.
Yeah.
They said market price.
So right out of the gate, there's some sticker shock, but immediately I'm looking for silver linings. I'm like, okay, Subway's probably one of these companies that has like a pretty high minimum wage for their workers, and that's what's going to justify the price of the sandwich. It's actually going to the worker. That, you know what, that's fine. And then the cashier does the classic swivel the fucking tablet around, asking me how much money I want to leave for a tip.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Immediately, I caved to societal pressure.
I'm like, wait.
Because I don't want this young lady to think I'm an asshole, so I leave.
I don't care if people think I'm an asshole when I'm doing this stuff. If you're gonna put a tip thing on there and not offer me a good service, you ain't getting a tip. I am sorry. The only people who have really managed to get tips out of me was the barber after COVID ended. After the great lockdown period ended, and it's just like, yep, I need to get the shed carpet off my head, and the barber received like a $20 tip, and I was just like, oh, my head feels so light again. Thank you, sir. You have liberated me. He's like, yeah, I could have did it myself, but it would have been a hack job. I still had to go to work because I worked in food still. So I was like, nah, I'll just deal with it.
Leave a tip, I grab my sandwich, I go eat my sandwich. While I'm eating the sandwich, I'm just stewing. Like, I don't think I should have to tip the people that work at Subway. Not because I don't think, you know, they provide a service, they did a good job, or, you know, they deserve to make more money. They do, that's fine. But the company should be paying them more fucking money. I just paid 300% more money for my sandwich. Pay your employees more money. I understand Subway's a restaurant and like you tip people that work at restaurants, but it's not like I sat down, a waiter came out, took my drink order, took my food order, brought me my food. There was no service involved, okay? I stood there and told you how to make the fucking sandwich. I was the project manager on this sandwich, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I'm part of the team.
Part of the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew, part of the ship.
At this point, I become convinced at some point in the past 10 years, all the big wigs at Subway got together in their headquarters in some secret underground layer underneath the volcano or wherever Subway's headquarters is, and they had a meeting, and in that meeting, they were like, okay, guys, we need to pay our employees more money. Option A, we can raise the price of the sandwich 300% and pay our employees more money. Option B, we can raise the price of the sandwich 300% and then we can add a tip screen. That way, when the employees are mad they're not making enough money, we shift the blame from us to the customers. Okay, I'm sorry, you don't get to charge me 4 times as much for a sandwich and then also try to paint me as an asshole to the high schooler behind the cash register. It's not gonna happen. So now I gotta know everything. I start digging into Subway.
What is... Grab a shovel.
So once upon a time, 1965, there's a 17-year-old kid named Fred DeLuca, and he wants to go off to medical school, but he doesn't have enough money to pay for it. So he's like, hey, my family has this rich friend. He's a nuclear physicist. He's got all kinds of money. I'm gonna go to him and ask for his advice.
I swear I've heard the name Fred DeLuca somewhere before, and it's gonna bug me, and hopefully it comes up in this and be like, yep, that's where I heard it.
Probably secretly hoping that the guy's just gonna offer to pay for my college. To his surprise, instead, nuclear physicist guy is like, I'm not gonna pay for your college, but I will give you $1,000 to start a sandwich shop, and me and you can go into business together, and then you can use the money from the sandwich shop to pay for medical school. And $1,000 in 1965 is like 20 grand today, so not an insignificant amount of money.
Yeah.
So they open up Pete's Submarines, which is the original name for Subway. Subway, and for the first couple of years, they don't really make any money. And a humongous problem they have is people keep calling to order pizza. Because apparently Fred DeLuca in all the radio advertisements has a thick New York accent, so when he says Pete's Submarines, what people hear is Pizza Marines. So rather than learning how to say Pete's Submarines, he's like, fuck it, we're just gonna rename the restaurant Subway. From here, they start like breaking even. They're making a little bit of money, but like it's nothing to write home about. He's not gonna be able to go to medical school anytime soon. And he's like, okay, hear me out. I've got an idea. We're not really making any money with the submarine shop. What if we double down and open a second submarine shop?
Dream big. Right?
Basically, he uses reverse psychology into tricking people to come in to eat these sandwiches because when he opens up a second location, he uses reverse psychology.
Big.
Oh. I was trying to do the fitting
Basically,
thing,
he uses
but it's
reverse
just the
psychology
credits.
into tricking people to come in to eat these sandwiches because when he opens up a second location, people are like, oh my God, they're opening up second locations. They're expanding. They must be delicious. And he starts getting more business.
That's-
some of the best advice I've ever heard in my entire
That's actually smart. Because humans in general think like are wired, bigger number equals better. That's the reason why the damn resolution scales and all that still are like prevalent. Like 8K means nothing to me. 4K means nothing to me, really. I think I don't own anything that can utilize that. So it's kind of pointless to me.
life when I was in the military was fake it till you make it, and that's exactly what they're doing here, and it works. Now, ultimately, this is going to be their downfall, but at the time, it makes sense. Fred identifies, hey, rapid expansion is what's making money. We're going to keep rapidly expanding. More locations, more money, more market dominance. Makes sense. So they start opening up Subways everywhere, and then they start franchising, which is, you know, basically, hey, you can use my branding, you can use all my vendors, I'll show you how to do this job. You pay me a bunch of money to open up a Subway, and then you give me like a percentage of your cut, and then they just start opening up franchises all over the United States. And this is actually brilliant for Subway because Subway has a ton of advantages when it comes to franchising. Because Subway, they're just making sandwiches. They don't need deep fryers. They don't need a big cooktop. They don't need all the stuff that other restaurants need. They don't
This is
need a ton
fair.
of special equipment. There's not a bunch of special
You have a cold bar and a hot bar, basically, and that's it. When I went to school, we had both, too. One was basically just a refrigerator coil underneath the damn thing with water in it, and it's the same as the hot one. It's just got a bowl, water, stainless steel things that sit on top of it. The water is heated to whatever, like probably like 100+ degrees to keep it at safe food, whatever the safe food temperatures are. It's been a while since I did food handling.
training.
Well, yeah.
Everybody on the planet knows how
It's
to make
simple.
a sandwich. So the overhead to open up a new restaurant is extremely low. The amount of
Everyone on the planet knows how to make a sandwich. That is highly debatable with some of the employees I've seen in this city. It's kind of like you gotta tell them several times, like, no, lettuce, whatever. If I get into it, I'll get tilted. So now,
training you have to give employees is extremely low, and the amount of space that you actually need to have a functioning Subway is also extremely low because, again,
Yeah.
they don't have ovens and deep fryers and all that.
I have seen Subway shoved in the spot in some areas in this city where it's just like they should not exist. The first Subway I ever saw was actually shoved into an old farmer's market. It worked out fine because they had all the land or like a large building already for the farmer's market. They had a nice big parking lot already for the market. But here's the funny part, I'll tell you guys. There's a dead part of tracks that was close to this Subway, like it was a siding, and the train operators that went to this factory nearby would stop the train by the factory siding, get out, walk the block up to the Subway, get the Subway, and then go back to the locomotive. Yeah, wild times.
Other shit, which also means that it's really cheap to start a Subway because there's not a lot of overhead. So you could open up a Subway for like $150,000 to $200,000, where competitors like McDonald's are like $2 million to open up a McDonald's. And this is where Subway's fixation with hyper expansion starts to bite them in the ass because, again, that's all they care about, just more Subways.
a
More
lot of
Subways is
overhead.
the answer. More Subways equals more money. Typically, with a franchise, the franchising company like Subway or McDonald's is committed to making sure that their franchisees, aka their restaurant location,
It does sound like they're expanding too fast for their own good in order to keep up with their financial demands probably at first, and that's why
and
everything got
owners
marked up so
are
high.
successful. There's a lot of ways that they do this, and one of the big ones is typically having territories. So like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's will look at a city and be like, okay, this city has one McDonald's, it's big enough for two McDonald's, but we're gonna stick it on the other end of town so both of these franchises can be successful. Subway, on the other hand, doesn't appear to give a shit because remember, all they care about is having more Subways. More equals more money, so they don't care how
I can't even count how many Subways are in this city alone. There's a bunch. I think there's like 10 or 12.
how close they get put together, and there's Subways across the street from Subways all over America. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
In my small town in Iowa, there's 3 Subways, and 2 of them are in the same parking lot. One of them is in Walmart,
What?
and the other one is like 200 yards outside the front doors of Walmart as a standalone Subway. So obviously, they start cannibalizing each other's profits. They're literally competing with themselves. And that's not even the worst part. The overall
Jeez.
franchise agreement, I've looked into a lot of restaurants to have franchising. This is the worst one by far. I would be shocked if it's not the worst one on the planet. Not only if you open up a Subway, will they let somebody else open up another Subway right across the street and cannibalize a lot of your profits, they also have like the highest franchise fee that I've ever come across at 12.5%. And a franchise fee is taken from gross revenue, not gross profit, meaning before you even take out all the costs of running this business, Subway's taken 12.5% right off the top.
So
To
there's no
put it into
point.
perspective, McDonald's franchise fee is 8%. So Subway's is 50% higher for a much simpler business. And that's not even the worst part. In the Subway franchise agreement, well, in every franchise agreement, really, there's, terms where you can revoke somebody's franchise. Basically, like if a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A isn't living up to the McDonald's or Chick-fil-A name, they can take away the name so you're no longer a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A so you don't ruin their reputation across the entire country. And Subway has the same thing. That's fine, but theirs is intentionally broad and they can basically take your location from you for a wide variety of reasons, and they've been taken to court multiple times being accused of nitpicking minor stuff to take over very profitable locations, including in 2005 when they seized 2 Subways in Dallas, Texas from a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve who was actively on deployment in fucking Afghanistan.
Wow.
Now, to be fair, I don't know what their justification was for why they seized the locations, but considering the fact that in 2009, Subway lost the court case to said lieutenant colonel because they deemed it illegal, I'm gonna say they weren't fucking good enough. But hypothetically, just for fun, let's just say they were good reasons. Subway Corporate identifies 2 restaurants in Dallas, Texas that aren't living up to the Subway standard,
Okay,
and they're
fair.
like, what's going on here? What should we do? Oh, the owner's on deployment in fucking Afghanistan and isn't there to run it appropriately. Should we A, step in and help during the most stressful
Yes.
time of their entire life, presumably? Or should we B, repo their businesses, take their family's livelihood, so that while they're also fighting a war, they can deal about their family back home and losing their business? Huge W for corporate Subway. Makes them look great. I'm sorry, I'm getting horrifically sidetracked, but you guys get it. The franchise agreement is complete and utter bullshit and has been for the majority, if not the entire time Subway's been in business. Back to the timeline. In the 1980s and the 1990s, Subway is growing like crazy, and then in 1999, they have their first major scandal when 32 people in Seattle got hepatitis from
How?
2 different Subway locations for eating a sandwich. One of which was a 6-year-old boy who went into acute liver failure and had to get a liver transplant.
I didn't understand what you said. Could you put that in layman terms for me?
I'll be honest, didn't even know you could get hepatitis from a
Neither did
sandwich,
I.
but a new fear has just been unlocked for me, and I think we can all agree that, the healthy, fresh option giving you hepatitis isn't a great look for Subway. So now
Probably
Subway's
not.
hurting. They need a new PR campaign to turn this entire thing around, and in 2000, 1 year later, they find it in a college student that had lost like 250 pounds, supposedly only eating Subway, Jared Fogle. He starts filming commercials talking about how much weight he lost only eating Subway. He's bringing up his old pants, and now he can fit in like one leg of the pants, showing off how much weight he lost. It is a humongous marketing success. Legitimately
But-
one of the most iconic and successful marketing campaigns of all time. Everybody knows
But we know how history played out.
Jared from Subway. He becomes the face of the company. It's so successful that Subway Corporate said between 2000 and 2011, they credit Jared's ad campaign with 1/3 to 1/2 of their growth during that time. And during that time, they tripled in size. So you can't really argue with the results of this ad campaign. However, it's not something I would ever advise, having somebody off the street become the national spokesperson
Yeah.
for your humongous company. Why? Because if they do some crazy shit, it's going to make the entire company look bad. And this is why most huge companies have a fictional character as their mascot. You've got Ronald McDonald, Burger King, the Michelin Tire Man, Tony the Tiger. They're cartoons. They're safe. They're not
Bring back Ronald, damn it. I want that clown back. I don't know what happened to the king either. He just kind of got dethroned.
Never gonna get pulled over for a DUI while they have a pile of blow and a hooker in the back seat. Like, that's the idea. And I'm sure you all know what I'm getting at, because in 2015, Jared Fogle ends up getting arrested and sent to federal prison for 15 years for, and I quote, illicit sexual conduct with a minor and having a bunch of illicit child material on his computer. Okay, unpopular opinion, 15 years, not enough.
Yeah.
Okay, there's nothing funny
chipper's
about
fine.
this, but the amount of just tragic irony and foreshadowing that the college student that got famous for fitting into a smaller pair of pants ultimately gets put in federal prison for trying to get in little kids' pants is horrific. Now, that happened in 2015. Luckily for Subway, they'd kind of been phasing Jared out as their head of marketing since 2008 when they came out with the $5 footlong. Again, I'm not saying a lot of positive stuff about Subway, but their marketing team is on point, because the $5 footlong also is one of the most iconic marketing campaigns of all time. I mean, we all know the $5 footlong jingle. $5 footlong.
I don't remember it.
The only jingle that's ever been made that's better than that is J.G. Wentworth, and I don't even know what the fuck J.G. Wentworth does, but I...
Yep. I'm kidding. Even I know what the J.G. Wentworth.
will know his song till the day I die. So the Subway $5 footlong absolutely dominates. This came out in 2008, right when, you know, the housing market crashed, the economy's in the tank. You could go and buy a footlong sandwich for $5. People loved it. Well,
according to the other video, we could just go over to Little Caesars and get a pizza for $1 more. So I'd rather just get the pizza. A bit more food.
most people loved it. Pretty much everybody loved it except for the franchise owners, because the franchise owners were like making little to no money. Some of the sandwiches they were even losing money on at the $5 price point. But they have to do it because Subway can set the prices, and if they can't set the prices, they can at least advertise the fuck out of it so everybody that comes into your Subway expects a $5 footlong. And then once you've already made it and they're mad that it's not $5, what are you gonna do? Throw it away? You're gonna sell it for $5 and save what money you can. I know what you're thinking. Why would Subway be willing to make a $5 footlong if they're not making money on it? Oh, that's simple, because Subway corporate doesn't give a fuck about its franchise owners.
That sounds like most CEOs these days. Not gonna lie, like a lot of CEOs seem to be like, but why isn't it making me money? Why aren't you consuming our product? Like, I feel like they're skinwalkers, half of them.
At least that's what it would appear to be, right? They're screwing them over left and right. And Subway takes 12.5% of their gross revenue, meaning not profit. So they're taking 12.5% of that $5, even if it costs them $6 to make it. Subway corporate is still getting paid. Fuck the franchise owner. And this is kind of the peak and then the downward slide of Subway, because the controversies just keep coming after this. First, they get busted because the footlongs aren't actually a foot long. People are walking in with tape measures, measuring them. They're 10 inches, 11 inches. Not 12 inches.
I don't know if like Subway uses. I don't know if they use any form things, because like I said, in the beginning, I make my own breads now, and it is not easy. Like to get something uniformly sized each time. Like, I'm getting there, but it's not easy. So I don't know what their process is, how they do it. If they have like, if they get dough that's like pre-cut or because I know in some cookie places where they do baking cookies, they get the cookies already like measured out in these little pucks. You put the pucks in the oven and that's it. But I don't know if it's the same way of like donuts for some places, or like sub buns for some places. I have no idea how it works. I have never worked in these places.
Okay, and I'm going to kind of defend Subway on this one, because this is a stupid complaint. It's the same amount of dough. They just didn't stretch it out enough before they put it in the oven. It's the same amount of bread, the same amount of calories. You're getting what you paid for. And that's really all Subway had to say. It was like, hey, sorry, the employee didn't stretch the dough out long enough before he stuck it in the oven, but all the bread is still there. And everybody would have been like, oh, that makes sense. That's cool.
So they should have been not measuring by length for those, for the buns. They should have been measuring by weight.
Think that's what Subway did?
I don't know.
No, absolutely not. Instead, they released an official statement on their Facebook that says, and I quote, with regards to the size of the bread and calling it a footlong, Subway footlong is a registered trademark as a descriptive name for the sub sold in Subway restaurants.
Then why do they call it, okay, hold up. Then why do they call the half a foot long a 6-inch sub? I am just saying. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, because like there is one thing that they say marketing buzz terms, but then most Americans And even Canadians will assume a foot long is, well, a foot. But at metric, because you're giving a metric, it's just, well, imperial, not a metric, but blah.
And not intended to be a measurement of length. Translation, just because we call it a foot long doesn't mean you can expect it to be a foot long. That's just what we call it, you fucking idiot. Yeah, that Facebook post went about as well as you'd expect. They ended up taking it down. The balls to be like, we call it a foot long sub because we call it a foot long sub, not because it's 12 inches long, and if you interpret it as that way, you're dumb, is insane. To be fair though, a 2x4 hasn't been a 2x4 since like 1960, and nobody seems
Huh. Huh. I don't know what to feel about that one, the 2x4.
to care. Probably because the lumber companies don't scoff and look at you like you're a moron if you expect a 2x4 to be 2x4, but whatever. So then Subway loses their damn mind. They think they have trademarked the phrase footlong in regards to sandwiches, even though a footlong to them doesn't mean 12 inches, which ultimately leads them to suing Casey's gas station, which I've done a video on. My favorite pizza on the planet is Casey's gas station pizza. They file a lawsuit against Casey's because Casey's also makes sub sandwiches, and their 12-inch long sandwich they call a foot long. So Subway tries to sue them for trademark infringement on a fucking measurement. A measurement that they don't even abide by. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? That'd be like if I opened up a milk company and I sold, quote, gallons of milk, and I trademarked the phrase gallon of milk, and then I only sold you 3 quarts of milk, and then I turned around and sued the motherfucker actually selling you a gallon of milk. It's insanity. Obviously, they lost this fucking lawsuit because duh. So Subway's on its down slump, and then they just lose all credibility as being healthy in the coming scandals. Buh! What do you mean it's not healthy? Jared lost 250 pounds doing it. Buh! Okay, Jared lost a bunch of weight because he was eating 2 6-inch subs a day, and they were mostly vegetables. He was eating like 1,200 calories.
So he was basically living off salad and 4 slices of bread.
You can eat 1,200 calories of literally fucking anything and you're gonna lose weight. If you eat 1,200 calories of Slim Jims and M&Ms, you're gonna lose weight, especially if you're doing a bunch of cardio chasing children at a playground like that sick pervert. In 2017, CBS, the news network, decided they were gonna conduct a little study on Subway chicken. They went, they bought a sandwich, they took the chicken, took it to a lab, and found out that the chicken that Subway sells is anywhere from 42% to 53% chicken.
What the hell is it then?
What the fuck is the rest of it? Wait, let me guess. You trademarked the term chicken breast, and now if anybody assumes that a chicken breast is made out of chicken, we're obviously fucking stupid. Is that what it is? Thankfully, they learned their lesson. They did not go that route again. What they did was they're like, okay, we're fucking up. We're gonna make sure that the chicken is actually 100% chicken. No, I'm just kidding. They turned around and tried to sue CBS for malicious news and took them to court, and they lost again. Because as it turns out, it's not illegal to tell the truth.
There is no way in hell that I am going to say. Oh, I'm really worried I'm going to say it.
Then in 2020 in Ireland was instituting a new tax where they were going to, have to tax more on food made in restaurants. And Subway came to the table and they argued, well, Ireland has certain staple foods that you can't increase taxes on. And one of those staple foods is bread. And we make all of our bread fresh in our restaurants. We should be exempt from this tax. Okay, not a big fan of Subway right now. I'll admit it. I'll be up front. However, that's a reasonable point. And Ireland agrees. And Ireland is like, okay, we hear you. Send some bread off to the lab and we'll take a look at it. They send the bread off to the lab and the Irish Supreme Court comes back and says, there's so much fucking sugar in this bread. You're not legally allowed to call this bread in the country of Ireland. You have to classify this as cake. You're selling cake sandwiches. And all of this just...
How much... Yeah, the recipe I have for bread calls for like the minuscule amount of salt and the minuscule amount of sugar. So it is wild.
It's coming out one after another after another. It's promoted by a pedophile. The franchises aren't making money. The foot-long sandwiches are only 10 inches long and they're not bread. They're made out of cake. Half the chicken inside the chicken isn't even fucking chicken. Obviously, it leads to the public perception that Subway isn't that fucking healthy. And while all this is going on, they get rid of the $5.
So if the chicken's not actually chicken, is it literally mock chicken at that point? Like, could it be considered classified as mock chicken? I don't know, because I know mock chicken is ham, mostly. And I know there was some person out there on the internet who complained that mock chicken wasn't real chicken. It's like, no shit. What do you think the word mock means? Whatever. Whatever. I am going on a tangent, and I can't.
foot long and jack the fucking prices through the roof and then add a tip screen at checkout. Needless to say, Subway's in the fucking tank. They've closed down 7,600 locations since 2015, and they're closing down hundreds, if not thousands, of locations every single year, and they are on a humongous.
Well, how much did they piss away on these lawsuits that didn't go in their way? Like, I know big companies going to court usually isn't cheap. But, yeah, I guess I wonder if they did bite off more than they could chew with constantly expanding. Like, I get it. Like, you're trying to turn profit as fast as possible, and that method probably worked before. Like, when you first started, like, yeah, you got lucky. You got successful with people thinking, oh, this must be really good if they're opening up another one, kind of thing. But eventually, it's gonna be like, well, I don't know.
Decline. And this entire thing is just a textbook example of shitty leadership ruining an A-grade idea, because a Subway franchise was a golden idea, a brilliant idea. Super cheap to start up, didn't need any specialized equipment. Everybody that knows how to breathe and chew bubble gum can learn how to make a sandwich in like 5 seconds. It was so easy to make a ton of money, but instead, Subway corporate was like, we're gonna make as much money as possible and fuck over all the franchisees, even though they're on our team. All they had to do was be like, hey, we're gonna structure this.
And this is why I typically, when I go out for food or whatever, I like the mom and pop shop food, because you're just supporting one person. Like, yeah, they might have to pay a little more because a little bit more overhead and whatnot, but just because like they're trying to earn a little bit too. But at the same time, you usually get a lot better quality, I find. Although it's always hit and miss too, so you gotta either you establish a brand, you make a good brand name for yourself, and you become like something that that people know you for, like Little Caesars Hot and Ready. Like, it's the convenience. McDonald's has always been, well, McDonald's. Like everything that's been established more or less has been established for one reason or another, but they've lasted this long for reasons. So
in a way so that the franchisees are winning, then we're gonna win and everybody's gonna fucking win. But no, they took the easy way out to make as much money as they.
Because back when I took business class, yeah, fun fact, I did this. The internet was still very much in its infancy still, in a way, because at that time we would have been using Pentium 3 machines still. The Pentium 4 didn't exist yet. Wild times. We didn't have AI, we didn't have smartphones, so like, and when everything's changed in the landscape due to technology and social media and all that, like, so fast. It's wild how fast like influence could be, like positive influence can make your thing rise up, and how fast negative influence could destroy your business and or whatever you're trying to do.
Could as fast as they could, and they didn't give a shit about anybody else, and it tanked the entire company. They ended up selling to Rourke. We're gonna structure all the franchisees, even though they're on our team. All they had to do was be like, hey, we're gonna structure this in a way so that the franchisees are winning, then we're gonna win, and everybody's gonna fucking win. But no, they took the easy way out to make as much money as they could, as fast as they could, and they didn't give a shit about anybody else, and it tanked the entire company. They ended up selling to Rourke Capital in 2024, which owns Jimmy John's and Arby's and a bunch of other restaurants. So hopefully a lot of this bad leadership stuff is gone already, or if not, it's getting phased out. Also, I've talked an outrageous amount of shit in this entire video, so I want to take a minute and just be like, hey, I understand if you're mad at Subway right now too. I am as well. However, your local Subway branch probably isn't owned by Big Subway. It's probably owned by somebody in your community that's just trying to make a living making sandwiches, and don't take it out on them. It's not their fault, and they're probably a lot more mad at corporate Subway than we are. Trust me. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch, maybe drink some Echelon. Links for both of those are over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
I say this every time, by the way. A lot of his merch, like his shirts and stuff, at least from what I've learned, are timed exclusive. So if you want something, head over to his store and grab it. Don't miss out like I did. And that's my 2 cents for that. And like I said, link to the original down below, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.